What's up, everyone? This is Corey from the OverLook, and we go over the books you may have overlooked. Okay, so we are officially on the back half of Superior Spider-Man. You may have been wondering what's going on with all those villains Otto has been capturing. Well, here we go. Also, we still have the poll going on. Heroes versus horror, or heroes or horror, something like that. I think after today we only have one vote left, so hop over to the community tab and make sure you make your voice heard. And since everyone was so active in the voting, I will actually be covering the winner of the contest next. So after that we will do book 3 of Lock and Key, but I thought since everyone was already excited for it, why not cover it? Anyway, let's get started. Alchemax, the new mega corporation created from the combined properties of Oscorp, Allen Chemical, and Horizon Labs, is under attack. This is the moment Otto Octavius has been waiting for. Under any normal circumstance, he, the Superior Spider-Man, might be glad to see Alchemax come under fire. Their science is nothing compared to his. They are an annoyance, and their destruction would amuse him. In normal circumstances, Otto might say they brought this on themselves. But this attack is not a normal circumstance. They are the Wrecking Crew, and this is supercrime. Some of the members of the crew battle it out in the middle of the street with police officers, while others battle against a new hero, Sun Girl. The last breaks down the outer walls of Alchemax. Otto has worked with the Wrecking Crew before. There's Bulldozer, with the idiotic ability to crush things with his head. Pile Driver, with the power of punching. Their leader, the Wrecker, with the power of using a crowbar. It's hard not to cower in fear. And Thunderball is the smart one. You can tell from the giant metal ball. The only thing that gives one pause is that they all share some kind of Asgardian magic, making them more than a match for the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But today, Spider-Man isn't alone. Inside Alchemax, Miguel O'Hara, the time-displaced Spider-Man from the year 2099, works undercover as Michael O'Mara, the personal assistant to Tiberius Stone. According to Miguel's personal AI, Lila, the Wrecking Crew is after something called the QPE. It's a prototype energy conduit created by Alchemax. And according to her history records, in 3 days, the QPE will be used to destroy the majority of Old New York. Miguel prepares to jump into battle when a voice booms from the building wreckage. "Attention, imbeciles!" Everyone, Miguel and Sun Girl included, stop what they're doing. That really doesn't narrow it down, does it? Let me be more specific. Attention, imbeciles known as the Wrecking Crew. I advise you to surrender, you foul-smelling, thick-necked morons, as you are outmatched in every conceivable way, but specifically in intellect and power. The members of the Wrecking Crew all look up and find Spider-Man looking down at them. They murmur amongst each other, wondering what the hell Spider-Man is doing. But on the other hand, he continues, if you want a fight, bring it on, pansies! That last jab seems to be the final straw. The members of the wrecking crew each aim their weapons at the wall crawler and charge in for an attack. However, the wrecker is stopped in his tracks when he is struck by a bolt of lightning. Piledriver is grabbed by someone else flying by and dragged into the air. And Bulldozer is caught within a spiral of sand and thrown across the street. Spider-Man crosses his arms and scoffs as his team converges behind him. Wrecking crew, prepare to face justice at the hands of the Superior Six. The villains can't believe what they're seeing. Electro? Sandman? Aren't the Sinister Six supposed to be bad guys? What the hell are they doing with Spider-Man? Well, it doesn't matter. If they've turned into heroes, the wrecking crew will just have to kill them all. The two teams begin to battle. Spider-Man is the first to strike. Mysterion, Vulture, Sandman, show these villains the error of their ways, just like you've learned and are repenting for. Yes, Otto is laying it on quite thick, not for the wrecking crew's benefit, but any witnesses or media in the area. After all, Spider-Man can't be seen cavorting with known criminals, but the world loves a redemption story. However, Otto notices that Sandman is moving rather slowly. He'll need to focus. Hey! I'm talking to you! Aren't those the bad guys? Otto looks over his shoulder and realizes he's been tuning out Sun Girl. Will you be quiet, Sun Girl? I'm concentrating. And besides, bad is relative. The new Mysterion, conjures a giant spider to scare Piledriver. The chameleon turns into Loki. He curses the wrecker for squandering the sacred Asgardian gift he gave them on petty crimes. While the wrecker is distracted, Electro flies behind him and strikes him with another bolt of lightning. The Bulldozer, however, is winning against his opponent. He keeps Sun Girl on the retreat. She tries to use her sun blasters to blind the Bulldozer, but he doesn't need to see her to hit her. Within the building, Liz Allen, CEO of Alchemax, asks Tiberius Stone how this could have happened. How could the wrecking crew even know about the particle engine? It's still under development. Trials haven't even started. And now, the Sinister Six is here. She can't even tell who is trying to rob them. Across the hall, Miguel is able to grab a hold of the quantum particle engine, all without the need of his costume. Before he can secure it completely, Thunderball, the smartest of the wrecking crew, arrives and steals it. Thunderball makes the call to the wrecker, and the team prepares to head out. Electro sees this and tries to stop the wrecker, but this time, the wrecker predicts the attack, turns on his heel, and knocks Electro out of the air with his enchanted crowbar. Electro flies back and crashes into Sandman. The heat of his electricity starts to turn Sandman into glass. The pain is unbearable, and Spider-Man can feel it all through his psychic link. Spider-Man tries to fight through the pain. He tries to regain complete control over his minions. The Vulture drifts mindlessly through the air. bulldozer grabs the bird and slams him on the ground. Chameleon tries to trick Thunderball into handing the device over, but stumbles mid-sentence. Otto's team is falling apart. He needs to pull out. The trial was too soon. Worse, he can feel the villains fighting him. "Are you going to do something?" Sun Girl yells. She doesn't get a response. To her, Spider-Man is just standing there, watching. "No? Well then I am. Hey, ball guy, eat light." Sun Girl points both of her sun guns at Thunderball's back and unleashes a massive beam of solar energy. The blast of light also hits the quantum particle engine, producing a destructive feedback of energy. This momentarily allows the members of the Sinister Six to regain their senses. "Spider-Man," Electro hisses. "Uh-oh, that's not good." Before any of them can react, the Wrecker slams his crowbar on the ground, creating a fissure that splits the earth beneath their feet. Spider-Man can barely think due to the concussive force. Mysterion attempts to stand to his feet. Someone, stop him! Stop him before he can do it again!" "Stop him?" Sandman asks. "Kid, I'm gonna kill him." Before the villains can fully regain their composure, Spider-Man yells, "Stop!" And once again, they're back under Otto's control. Complete submission. As was meant to be. Everything is perfect. Everything is going to be fine. He looks on the ground and sees Sun Girl lying unconscious next to the quantum particle engine. He picks them both up. Now that she sees Spider-Man in possession of the device, Liz Allen stomps out of the building and asks for it to be returned to her. "This device is coming with me," Spider-Man tells her. "Until I determine why the Wrecking Crew wanted it, your little device is safer in my hands." Later, within Otto's secret lab under Battery Park, Otto returns the villains to their holding pods. In another life, Otto was part of a team. He was Dr. Octopus, the leader of the Sinister Six. And while they would occasionally fail him, or betray him, or try to kill him, for the most part, the collaboration was successful. Because unlike the Avengers, the Sinister Six would generally obey him, like a good team should. For several months, Otto has been going to some length to collect the members of his old team, using similar technology that he uses to control his Octobots, or rather, Spider-Bots. He now controls the Sinister Six, each of them subjugated to his will, under his direct control. They are now the perfect team, until he turns them off. The villains regain their consciousness, and each of them begin yelling and banging on their containment cells. Electro says, "When I get out of here, I'm going to fry you until your eyes explode. I'm going to..." "Go ahead, Electro. Try. Each of your cells is specifically designed to negate your powers. Your penance will not be cut short. You thinking for yourself has always been a problem, but that's over now. Because, you see, you're my responsibility. And I intend to make sure that you never hurt anyone again. You've made your beds, gentlemen. Although, if you're thinking about trying to escape, learn from the example of this poor fellow. Spider-Man gestures to the skull of the Russian mercenary that was sent to kill Chameleon. Elsewhere, Sun Girl slowly wakes up in a medical bed surrounded by spiderlings. She's waking up. "Call the boss," one says. "He already knows. He always knows," says another. "Hey, Sun Girl, right? You okay?"
"Head hurts,"
she tells him. Then she realizes who she's speaking to and sits up in her bed.
Where am I?"
"You have to stay here until the boss shows," the spiderling tells her.
"Oh my god,"
she gasps before immediately discharging all of her stored solar energy, pushing back and blinding everyone within the room. Sun Girl grabs her equipment, runs out the room, and finds herself in a giant warehouse.
Think fast. Make good decisions. I'm in this place. Prisoner. Some kind of evil-looking secret hideout. Oh, damn. That's big.
Sun Girl is forced to stop when she sees a giant mechanical spider standing multiple stories tall. Spider-Man lowers himself from the ceiling behind her. "Welcome to Spider Island, Sun Girl. Please don't make me knock you out again. I didn't particularly enjoy it the first time. You've caused me quite a problem, young lady. You need to tell me who you are and where you got that equipment." Across the city, Dr. Edward Lansky is displeased. The wrecking crew was unsuccessful in their attempt to acquire the particle engine. The wrecker reasons that things got complicated, and complicated costs extra. "It doesn't matter," Dr. Lansky tells them. "Once the engine is in my possession, money will be no obstacle. I intend to bleed this city dry." "Well, that's wonderful and such," scoffs the wrecker. "But there's 6 of them and 4 of us. 7 of them if you count the girl. We need more guys." Within a flash of light, the doctor transforms into his costume. He floats into the air and says, "No, you need a team. If Spider-Man wishes to interfere with my plans again, then he'll face Light Master and his masters of evil." Within the now secret headquarters of the Superior Six, within Battery Park, the Superior Spider-Man reviews the events of their previous mission. The Superior Six were pitted against a Hydra dreadnought. Of course, the villains continue to protest. They threaten his life. They call Spider-Man a criminal, telling him he's changed and he can't just control people's minds and force them to fight. Otto disregards their every notion. He isn't controlling minds, he's making them superior. It's another average day for university student Seela Burke. At 8 a.m., she wakes up in her Soho loft. At 8:10, she's brushing her teeth. A couple hours later, at 10:17, Seela is dozing off in a lecture hall. And at 11:42, she is making a phone call to check in with her father. He doesn't want to speak. At 1, Seela is finally free. She's free to put on the costume and do some good in the world. It's time to see what this city's got. As Sela does her daily patrol around the city, her police scanner picks up a potential code blue near Bowery. She flies over and sees a number of vehicles of different sizes scraping against the ground and being pulled to something standing in the middle of the intersection. Then, Sela feels the wind drag her downward and notices that the creator of the wind vortex is none other than David Cannon, the villain known as Whirlwind. Sela introduces herself as Sun Girl. Unfortunately, Whirlwind has never heard of her. Honestly, he just wants her to go away. He was waiting for someone else. Sun Girl takes this as disrespect. Whirlwind can't just pick and choose what superhero he wants to kick his ass. It doesn't work that way. At that moment, sand begins to accumulate beneath their feet. Lightning cracks through the air. "They're here," Whirlwind says. "The Sinister Six." Spider-Man swings in and stands between Whirlwind and Sun Girl. "Correction, Whirlwind. It's the Superior Six. Now, prepare to face justice." "He was waiting for you," Sun Girl whispers. "What?" Spider-Man asks, brushing aside Sun Girl. "And what are you doing here? Didn't I tell you to?" Suddenly, a wrecking ball hits the ground between them, causing the two heroes to jump backwards. Otto's spider sense was already going off due to Whirlwind's presence. Now, it's like a repetitive, concussive explosion inside his head. Spider-Man looks up and sees the wrecking ball came from Absorbing Man. Next to him stands his wife, Titania, then Bulldozer, and the wrecker of the wrecking crew, Mr. Hyde, Blackout, and Thunderball and Piledriver. They are the masters of evil, some of the greatest supervillains the world has ever seen, assembled against Spider-Man. Otto can only assume this is the level of intensity Parker felt when he faced him. However, he can already tell that this is only a diversion. The Wrecking Crew, the Masters of Evil. This isn't revenge or payback or anything that petty. This is about something much bigger. The quantum particle engine. Without looking, Spider-Man says, "Sun Girl, when I leave you behind, please know it's only because I have somewhere more important to be. Superior 6, attack!" The Masters of Evil. This particular iteration seems to be Baron Zemo's team. They outnumber the heroes, but the Superior 6 has something the Masters don't. Otto. For each of Otto's team's minds are controlled by his unparalleled genius. Titania would crush Vulture, but Otto directs Sandman to his aid. Teamwork. Chameleon is far out of his league. Sacrifices must be made. Electro, on the other hand. Wait, Otto wasn't thinking. Absorbing Man made contact and now has Electro's abilities. He needs some space. Sandman provides it. Until, at least, the cavalry arrives. Otto's mechanical spider walker touches down, cracking the ground and tossing up cars as it lands. Titania throws Absorbing Man through the mechanical giant, and they bring the walker down within seconds. Thunderball and Pile Driver team up to keep Spider-Man moving. Otto tries to keep his control over his team, but he's getting feedback from Electro. Something's wrong. Something with Blackout's powers that's causing Otto to lose his grip. Sun Girl blasts Blackout with solar energy, incapacitating him for a moment. It helps, but Otto needs his own diversion, which he commands Mysterio to provide admirably. Spider-Man leaps around, trying to distance himself from the group of villains. Sun Girl, we are leaving! Otto rallies his group, but Absorbing Man is able to pick Vulture out of the air. The psychic backlash from his control spider is like fire in Otto's head, and he doesn't see Sun Girl until it's too late. Sun Girl shoots Absorbing Man with a blast of solar energy, and the villain's body adapts and begins to heat up. The heat reacts negatively to a nearby gas tanker, and it detonates. The explosion is massive, pushing back everyone in the area. Spider-Man catches Sun Girl out of the air and starts swinging towards the rooftops, but he is cut off when the real master appears. "You're too late," he says. "The quantum particle engine is mine now, and with it, I will bring this city to its knees." Dr. Edward Lansky, better known as Lightmaster, a former physics professor at Empire State University, he developed into a somewhat pathetic supervillain. "Lightmaster? Oh, you have got to," Spider-Man says, annoyed. "You're working for Lansky. Tell me you're joking, Wrecker. What did he promise you? Money? He doesn't have any money. He probably can't even work that thing." Spider-Man's words actually resonate with a few of the criminals. They murmur amongst themselves on what they should do next. "What?" Lightmaster asks, outraged. "Don't listen to him. My plan is unstoppable." Admittedly, Lightmaster's sudden outburst doesn't garner much confidence. The Masters of Evil and the Wrecking Crew come to the conclusion that they should crush both Spider-Man and Lightmaster, take the QPE, and figure it out from there. "No!" Lightmaster cries. "I can do this! Watch as I power the engine through the sheer force of my... Sela?" Lightmaster stops what he's doing when he notices Sun Girl. Hi, Dad," she says softly. This momentary distraction is all Spider-Man needs. He springs forward and webs the QPE away from Lightmaster. "No!" he shrieks. "Defeat Spider-Man! Somebody just destroy him!" Lightmaster shoots a consecutive light energy volley. Each blast is harder to dodge than the last. With Spider-Man's attention split 6 ways, it is only a matter of time until Spider-Man gets hit. Lightmaster prepares to hit Spider-Man again while he's down, but Sun Girl jumps in the way to save him. The conflicting light energy causes a massive distortion. For a moment, everyone is blinded. When Spider-Man regains his senses, he sees Lightmaster lying on the ground, unconscious, next to the particle engine. "Sun Girl," he says as he turns back to the young hero. "Your father was able to power the QPE with his light. So, your equipment is based on the same designs, isn't it?" "Yeah, but..." "Shoot the engine! Do it! Now!" Spider-Man needs Sun Girl to act fast before the Masters of Evil can come to their senses. One last-ditch diversion. The members of the Sinister Six all begin to regain consciousness and set their sights on Spider-Man. The Wrecking Crew and the Masters of Evil set their sights on the quantum device. And Spider-Man runs to cover Sun Girl as she blasts the QPE and a destructive energy cracks through the air. A blinding light burns bright and brings with it a concussive force that distorts reality. The light subsides, and both Spider-Man and Sun Girl realize that she successfully activated the engine. She, obviously, has a number of questions for the Wallcrawler. Chiefly, what the hell was that? The QPE transported a whole beach that now sits under their feet. Even a few palm trees sprout out of the sand, and a massive boat hangs here, stranded, as well as a broken plane that sits half buried and empty. Before Spider-Man can answer, the two heroes notice the sand drifting under their feet. They look behind them and see Sandman reconstructing himself. He uses all the newly added sand to add to his size until he stands stories tall. The other members of the Superior Six approach the Wallcrawler, a shared hatred in each of their eyes. Spider-Man tries to re-establish mental control, but he knows it's gone. It's gone, and the Six are free. What's up? So, I wanted to ask you a question before we get started. Let's say you were starting your own Sinister Six group. Counting yourself, who are the other 5 members of your group? And which spider character is your nemesis? Let me know in the comments below. And let's get started. Spider-Man drifts in and out of consciousness. He comes to, and for a moment, he almost thinks what he's seeing is real. The chameleon transforms into the Green Goblin and curses Spider-Man for killing him. He transforms into Kraven the Hunter and blames Spider-Man for his suicide. He morphs into Dr. Octopus and ridicules Spider-Man for waiting until he was on his deathbed to finally murder him. They're toying with Otto. And the chameleon is unaware that Otto Octavius is the Superior Spider-Man. And given the situation he currently finds himself in, that he's brought down on himself and the city. The only thing that will be superior about Otto will be his death. Are you enjoying yourselves? Spider-Man spits. He hangs in the air, locked in place by the hardening sand. Oh, we've just started. Electro scowls. The new Mysterion, crosses his arms and suggests to Mysterio, Chameleon, and Vulture they should hurry up and end Spider-Man already before he has another chance to control their minds. Chameleon draws a knife and threatens to carve Spider-Man's face off. He, on the other hand, believes that if Spider-Man could stop them, he would have already. From the looks of it, Sun Girl's light broke Spider-Man's control. Before the Chameleon can do anything, Electro sprints forward and punches Spider-Man. I told you this was coming. Did you think you could hold us prisoner? That you could invade our minds and not pay a price? Everything that's about to happen, you deserve. Vulture, bring me Lightmaster. Lightmaster. Spider-Man can see that he's still alive, but barely. With the look in Lightmaster's eyes, he may as well be dead. After what happened to his daughter, Sun Girl's death is on Otto's head, the first of many. Vulture grabs the defeated Lightmaster and attempts to shake him to attention.
Lansky, you're a machine. Show us how to make it work. Talk, you idiot.
Lightmaster just mutters his daughter's name in defeat.
Wrong answer,
Vulture snaps, slashing his claw across Lightmaster's face. Spider-Man begs Vulture to leave Lightmaster be. It's him the Vulture wants. Vulture continues to attack Lightmaster, but Lightmaster doesn't fight back. Tears form in his eyes as he looks at Otto and asks, Spider-Man, why didn't you save my daughter?
Enough!
Electro, sick of his whimpering, turns to Lightmaster and hits him with his electricity. Lightmaster howls from the unbearable pain. Electro's attack ends, but it isn't over. Vulture scoops up Lightmaster's collapsed body and soars high into the atmosphere before dropping Lightmaster to his death. Spider-Man watches it all from the top of the Empire State Building. The sick irony is that in the end, he was right. Otto believed he could forge the Sinister Six into a superior team. He did, but not as he intended. Not by pulling their strings like puppets, or having them dance to his whims. Otto made them a team in a way that he didn't understand before. For you see, Otto gave them hate. That hate will bond them together forever. This is the Superior Six that Otto created. And all of New York is going to pay the price for it. 5 minutes ago, Sela Burke, the hero known as Sun Girl, falls from the sky like a shooting star and crashes down in front of the Bowery. Onlookers begin to congregate around the crash site, and, to their surprise, Sun Girl stands from the wreckage, hurt, but still alive. Someone, she struggles to walk. Someone, please, tell me where they went. An onlooker informs Sun Girl that she needs to get to the Empire State Building, and she rockets off into the air. On the Empire State Building, Mysterion is beginning to have second thoughts. "The Vulture! Just drop that guy!" he stammers. Chameleon holds a knife to Spider-Man while telling Mysterion, "You're about to do worse, Mysterio. How many people would you kill to make Spider-Man pay for what he's done?" Mysterion cannot find it in himself to answer the question. Instead, he is distracted by the sight of Sun Girl saving her father by catching him in midair. Electro makes his way to the quantum particle engine and orders Mysterio and Vulture to take care of Sun Girl. "Sandman, Chameleon, hold Spider-Man. If the girl can activate the engine, so can I." Spider-Man calls out, "Electro, don't do this." "You did this, not us." "Your power is too much for the engine. The effects will be 100 times worse." "Good." Spider-Man turns to Sandman. "Sandman, you have to listen to me." Sandman responds, "Do you have any idea what it feels like to have someone else in your head? To have your body under someone else's control? To think that they call Octavius a villain, when this is what you do? You used to act like a hero." Electro begins to charge the particle generator with his energy. Spider-Man makes one last attempt to free himself from his bindings. "All the years, all the times we spent together, I only wanted you to be better. I was trying to take responsibility for you." "You want to take responsibility for something?" Electro asks. "Get ready." The quantum particle generator activates. What Spider-Man told Electro was true. The engine will convert his power in a different way than Lightmaster or Sun Girl. What Electro will do is destroy the entire city. All he wanted to do is watch Spider-Man suffer. And there's nothing Otto can do to stop it. No one is there to save New York from his failures. Suddenly, a blast of solar energy hits the sand that binds Spider-Man, heating it up enough for him to free himself from Sandman's grasp. "What was that?" Electro asks, swinging his head around to search for the source of the attack. "The girl," Chameleon tells him. Spider-Man leaps up in front of the villains and produces his spider pincers from his back. He tells the two that her name is Sun Girl, and she's here to remind them all what a hero is. Spider-Man springs forward, and with a right hook, he takes down Chameleon first, because he deserves it. The villain's jaw breaks upon contact. But Chameleon's not the problem. Electro isn't either. "You deserve this," Electro mumbles. He can barely stand. He used so much energy powering the engine. Spider-Man uses his pincers to stab Electro and hold him up into the air, keeping the villain's body a safe distance away. "I know," he tells him. That's 2 villains down, at least for the moment. Sun Girl is dealing with Vulture and Mysterio, Otto assumes. So that just leaves Sandman. Speaking of, the giant sand colossus grabs the ship stuck in the sand and flings it at the Empire State Building, killing dozens. Any wrong move could potentially send the ship toppling back to the ground. Spider-Man's spider sense managed to save him for the moment, but he too can barely stand. It's a miracle that he's even alive at all. Throughout all of this, Otto thought that Flint Marko was the one that would listen to reason. Otto underestimated his rage. All the while, the QPE's energy is building. If Spider-Man doesn't find a way to stop it in the next few minutes, all hope is lost. Sandman creates another construct on the ship with Spider-Man, and the two begin to fight. Spider-Man pleads, "Don't let this happen. You're not like the others." "That's what I thought about you," Spider-Man responds. "Even when we fought before, even when you tortured us, never did I think you would do this, that you would violate us like this. I don't care anymore. Dr. Octopus was right. Let this city burn. Let the whole world burn." Sandman is interrupted mid-sentence when Sungirl shoots a solar beam that blasts a hole through the center of his skull. Sandman slowly starts to lose control of all the displaced sand around the city. With his last words, Sandman tells Spider-Man, "I remember once I believed in you. That part of me is dead." Sungirl arrives on top of the Empire State Building. The particle engine's energy erupts from the device and paints the skyline. Spider-Man begins to tell her what to do, but before he can, Electro electrocutes him. Spider-Man writhes on the ground in pain, unable to speak. Electro falls to his knees, exhausted. You think you're so much better. You're no different." Sungirl punches out Electro and runs to aid Spider-Man. No. Come on. You have to be okay. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to stop it. Spider-Man! Spider-Man! Once upon a time, Otto was a petty little man who believed he was better. That the world owed him for a lifetime of abuse. He was wrong. He was so wrong. And the city nearly paid the price for it. Seconds before the QPE disrupted, Sungirl managed to shoot the device with her gun, breaking it in two. "That's it?" she asks, outraged. Spider-Man struggles to stand on his feet. "All I had to do was break the thing? I couldn't have gotten close enough. If you weren't here, millions of people would be dead. Because of you, right? This is all because of you, isn't it?" "Yes," Spider-Man answers softly. Sungirl jumps off the building and flies away. "To think, I always wanted to be just like you. A hero." Otto is left alone with his thoughts. All of the destruction that he's caused. His stomach sinks. Farewell Peter Parker. That's what Otto said. You may be leaving this world, but you are not leaving it to a villain. Otto swore he would be Spider-Man. Better yet, with his unparalleled genius and his boundless ambition, he swore he'd be a better Spider-Man than Peter Parker ever was. A superior Spider-Man. Months ago, Peter Parker died inside the old and broken body of Dr. Octopus. But on that very same day, across town in the Columbia University Medical Center, two patients coincidentally wake up from their respective comas. One patient in the coma ward is just beginning to show increased brain activity. However, her breathing is erratic, and the reading on the OR scan is showing that there is something wrong with her heart. Down the hall lies another woman, a woman who somehow called in her own coma. Her name is Julia Carpenter, and she is Madam Webb, and she has screamed herself awake with a new vision. The Great Web is coming undone. Soon, so soon, every spider, all the spiders, will die. It has certainly been a long week for the hospital. First, Julia arrived there, unidentified. Then, Norman Osborn's body went missing, and now this. A medical team rushes the first woman, who is slowly waking from her coma, into the operating room. They remove blood that is accumulating in her lungs over time, and surprisingly, her eyes begin to open. The doctor, excited, tells the woman that the surgery was a success. She has been asleep for a long time, and her muscles are atrophied. She might find it hard to move, or even to speak. The woman manages to mumble out a question.
Otto Octavius, where is he? I need to know. Is he?
This causes the doctor to raise an eyebrow. Why is the woman asking about Doc Ock? It's all over the news. He just died. This information causes the woman to cry out in distress. She flails on the hospital bed in order to free herself. Elsewhere, in the present day, Spider-Man swings across Midtown Manhattan. "You're going to kill me," he apologizes into his phone. "I'm running late, aren't I?" "Just a little slick," Anna Maria chuckles from the other side of the call. "I promise I shall be there presently, and this time, my dear Ms. Marconi, dinner is on me." Anna tells Otto, "That's not a plus, Peter. I love cooking. It feels weird having someone else make me dinner. Like
letting them share my toothbrush.
Otto freezes. Was that a euphemism? Parker would know, but Otto's not good at these things.
You still there? Anna asks. What's the matter, Slick? Cat got your tongue?
At that moment, Otto stumbles upon the black cat, sneakily exiting a building through a window leading to its rooftop. I'll call you back, Otto tells Anna. Something's come up. Black Cat sees Spider-Man and smirks.
Oh, along came a spider. And here I thought tonight was going to be all work and no fun.
Felicia Hardy, aka the Black Cat, Spider-Man announces as he lands. Black Cat's smirk almost breaks into a smile.
Why so formal, lover? Long time, no.
Before Felicia can finish, Spider-Man springs forward and punches her square in the face. Black Cat stumbles backwards, slips off the building, and falls to the ground.
A tooth!
She gasps, blood dripping from her lip.
You cost me a tooth! What the hell are you doing?
Spider-Man jumps off the rooftop, apprehending a criminal. I'm Spider-Man. This is what I always do. Black Cat pops her claws. She is in sheer disbelief. They always had a way of dealing with things. A dance. A back and forth. But that was in the past. Otto must also leave things in the past. As Dr. Octopus, he's tried to kill this woman more than once. But it's different now. Otto fights for justice. He does what needs to be done, all to make this world a better place. The fight is short. Spider-Man is able to get the advantage by kicking Black Cat across the jaw and webbing her against the nearby building. There, that should hold you, he says, turning to leave. I've alerted the authorities. They should be here within the hour. Otto gets a safe distance away before resuming his call with Anna Maria. Sorry about that, honey. I'm on my way. No, it was nothing. Otto arrives at Anna Maria's apartment. She honestly thought he was going to be late. But let's just say Otto's trying to make up for lost time. Otto reaches out his hand and quickly escorts Anna Maria to the rooftop.
Easy, Slick. Little person, tiny legs. Slow down,
she says, attempting to keep up with his pace. Otto cannot help himself. The two arrive on the apartment rooftop, and Otto presents Anna Maria with a picnic in mid-air, safely held in place by Spider-Man's webbing. Anna, trust me, I've spent a lifetime going slow, plotting, planning, biding my time. While I'm young, while I have this chance, while I'm with you, I shall not waste a single moment, and I will make every one of them special. Anna Maria takes off her heels and steps onto the webbing.
One of the perks of designing tech for Spider-Man. Nice. We'll have to eat fast, though. Doesn't this stuff go away in an hour?
Not anymore, Otto smirks. I improved on the formula. This batch stays up independently until I activate a dissolving agent. I always try to keep improving.
Trust me, Pete, you do. Every time I see you. That's about to be a lot less though, isn't it? Tomorrow, you present your thesis. You'll be a doctor soon. And you won't be around the campus anymore. On to bigger and better things.
Otto digs into his jacket pocket. True. That's why tonight, I have a proposal for you.
Talk about moving fast, Slick.
Anna says, averting her gaze. Oh, Anna Maria, no. I meant a business proposal. He removes a card from his jacket and hands it to her. Parker Industries. Here. It's a bit premature, but I've had these made up. I'm applying for a business loan tomorrow. With my association with Horizon ended, I've decided to forge ahead on my own. And I can think of no one else I'd rather have working by my side. Every day. The next morning, at the Columbia University Medical Center, Aunt May giggles to her husband, J. Jonah Jameson, Sr., about her nephew, Peter's good news. Peter is going to have his own company. She can't stop thinking about it. And with the Parker name, Ben would be so proud. Her only concern is how much collateral Jay is putting up for Peter's loan. Jay tells May to think of it as an investment. And it's not just from him. It's from both of them. Peter is his family too. At that moment, Miss Wynn, Aunt May's physical therapist, finishes with her last appointment. Even though they are running a little bit late, Aunt May asks Miss Wynn if it's okay that they cut the session a little short. Today is a big day after all, and they have a very special appointment to keep. Later, May and Jay meet Otto at the New York City Bank. With him is Sajani Jaffrey. Thank you again, Jay. I know this is a sizable loan, but you won't regret it. Parker Industries is going to change the world and pay you back tenfold at least. Aunt May scolds Peter for his boldness. She always taught him pride goeth before a fall. Jay grabs the pen and signs the document in front of him. May, for as long as I've known him, Peter's been unassuming and soft-spoken. If he has this much confidence about this, I'll take it as a good omen. Good man. Now, Ms. Jaffrey, he hands her the pen. My future vice president, ready to share the risk and the rewards? Sajani scribbles down her name. Parker, you are one arrogant little twit, but I've seen your work. You're almost as good as me. Here we go. Ugh, every nut I've squirreled away. Okay, your turn. Otto signs his name. He has invested everything Peter owns for this. Everything outside his hidden account as Otto Octavius. This must all be above board. Otto is carving out a new legacy for himself as Peter Parker. There can be no ties to his former life, and no room for error. elsewhere in Prospect Heights, Brooklyn, within the apartment of Officer Carly Cooper. Carly and the captain, Yuri Watanabe, discuss the evidence they found overseas. It doesn't seem like Carly has some crazy theory on her hands anymore. She's got evidence now. However, Yuri reminds her the evidence was obtained from questionable sources and under duress. But Carly doesn't care. She isn't taking the evidence to court. She's taking it to the Avengers. A paper trail showing that Spider-Man's funding himself with Doc Ock's secret offshore accounts. That should get their attention. With that, Carly has no more need for the help of Yuri, and by the extension, the Wraith. But she is going to have to do one more thing before turning in the evidence. She picks up her phone.
Hello? MJ? You there? Pick up. It's Carly. This is important. When you get this, call me, okay? Until then, whatever you do, for your own sake, stay away from Peter Parker. And keep May and the others away too. I'll explain later. Gotta go. Just promise, wherever you are, you'll play it safe.
Later, Otto and Anna Maria walk through the ESU campus, making their way to the conference room so that Otto can present his thesis. Anna is excited, but Otto proves to be rather composed. Unbeknownst to her, he has been here before. He stands before a small delegation of scholars, the dean, and Dr. Lamaze, and explains, "With this new form of nanotechnology I've developed, the human brain will be able to control both internal and external mechanical appendages, from operating exoskeletons in deep space to manipulating artificial and once ailing limbs." The dean, for one, commends Otto. "My word, that's revolutionary, Mr. Parker. Don't you think so, Dr. Lamaze?" The doctor grunts. "It's definitely a one-of-a-kind idea, Dean Goldman." "Thank you, Don," Otto chides. "Now, what say we open the floor for questions?" For 2 hours, Otto has them in the palm of his hand. By the end, there's no doubt they are witnessing greatness. Otto's genius will let the lame walk again and extend mankind's grasp out into the heavens itself. This is the future for Dr. Peter Parker. And it's only fitting it begins with a round of applause. As the presentation ends, Dr. Lamaze slams his hands on the table in front of him and stands to his feet. "Oh, stop that. We're not done here," he says, successfully ceasing the celebration. "I have one last question for our Mr. Parker. Do you take me for a fool, Parker?" Otto steps backwards. "What? What are you on about, Lamaze?" "You thought I wouldn't recognize the basic concepts, theories, or designs. This isn't your work at all, Peter. You, sir, have stolen the life's work of my good friend, the late Dr. Otto Octavius. Good God, Otto says under his breath. Everything here is derivative, plagiarized, and lifted from my dear colleague's unpublished research. Papers I am familiar with intimately. Deny that if you can.
Otto is trapped. There's no way he can. I need some time, he stutters.
It won't help, Lamaze boasts. You're done, Parker. Finished. Forget your doctorate. I'll see you expelled. In fact, I'll see you're made a laughingstock of the entire scientific community.
Later, in a shady part of town, a woman arrives at a back alley entrance of a long abandoned building. The woman was in a coma for some time, and Dr. Wynn has been helping her with her physical therapy since she has awoken. But she doesn't need help anymore. She's back on her feet, and there's work to be done. She's been very motivated. The woman slides a panel on the back alley doorway and finds a keypad. The computer system turns on and takes a moment to scan the woman. She's successfully identified as Angelina Brand Kale, lab assistant to one Dr. Caroline Trainer. Angelina enters the building and boots up the holographic telepresence machine. Luckily, her backup system is still online. All the system needs is Angelina's new mission parameters. Angelina slides on a VR visor and a duplicate, hard light construct version of herself atomizes before her. There is only one mission for Angelina now. One goal. What she does now, she does in the memory of the only man she's ever loved, Otto Octavius. Angelina swears on Otto's name that she will avenge him and kill this so-called Superior Spider-Man. Within the Daily Bugle, editor Robbie Robertson welcomes back ace reporter Betty Brant. It just wouldn't be the Bugle without her. Of course, this is the first time Betty has gotten a chance to see the new offices. Smaller space, ground floor, people filming web videos. Call her crazy, but Betty just doesn't think it feels like the old Daily Bugle that she remembers. Then, seconds later, a hole is punched through the side of the wall. A massive, muscular woman stands tall on the other side of the hole and demands to know the location of Spider-Man. Okay, Betty says. Now it feels like the Bugle. Again, the woman demands that the reporters either inform her on Spider-Man's location or they can summon Spider-Man to the Bugle. The woman's name is Angelina Brand Kale, and she is the villain known as Stunner. Ms. Brand Kale, Robbie begins. You've been away for a while. Things have changed. We're not on good terms with Spider-Man.
But don't worry, if you're a criminal in this town, he'll find you. And how exactly does he go about doing that? Stunner asks. Robbie points to a nearby spider bot and tells her Spider-Man has thousands of the small surveillance drones across the city. It's worse than the NSA. A sinister smirk spreads across Stunner's face as she puts the pieces together. So, all one has to do is commit a crime in front of those cameras, like the one over there. Meanwhile, at Empire State University, Otto stomps out of the conference room in a fit of rage. It's a disaster, he tells Anna. Peter, calm down, she pleads for him to slow his pace. Calm down? He asks. How can I? I've been accused, Anna, of stealing every idea in my thesis from the work of Dr. Otto Octavius. Anna Maria offers to speak with Lopez privately, to talk him down. If anyone, perhaps he will listen to her, and they can nip this in the bud. Nipping? Bah, I need leverage. Ransack his office, find something to use against him, or intimidate him. Yes. Pete? A retractable platform over some piranha? No, a kraken. No, a robot double. A decommissioned LMD. Program it to be Lopez and have it recant. Yes. Anna Maria chuckles. Ha! Robot double? Had me going for a moment there, Slick. Fine. Got that out of your system? Now, realistically, what are you going to do? Peter? By the time Anna Maria looks back, Otto is already gone. I won't stand for this, he muses as he crawls up a nearby building. Suit, compress civilian clothes, and be quick about it. Lopez will present a report to the dean tomorrow about his accusation. This could destroy everything Otto's worked for, ruin his life as Peter Parker, and adversely affect how Otto functions as Spider-Man. Just think of all the good Otto's done. Why should that suffer? All because Lopez wants to meddle in his affairs? He's at fault here, and dealing with him, why, that's for the common good. Yes, Otto would definitely be in the right. Suddenly, Otto receives a call from one of his spiderlings back on Spider Island. Boss, come in. This is Spider Island, calling Spider-Man. Please respond. What is it, you dolts? I'm busy. Sorry, boss. One of the spider bots called something in. One of your old bad guys is attacking the Daily Bugle. Thought you'd want to know. Which one? That blonde Amazon woman, sir. Stunner. Angelina? Otto gasps. After a moment of silence, the spiderling asks, Should we bring out the spider mechs? No, Spider-Man tells him. I will deal with this myself, personally. Soon after, Spider-Man arrives at the Daily Bugle and finds Stunner flipping cop cars and eating bullets. It is you, he says, astounded. You're back? But how is that even possible? Last I saw, you were in a vegetative state. Stunner drops the 2 police cars she's holding up. They crack the ground as they land. I was she scowls. But then I literally got my life back. And it was all thanks to you, Spider. You did that. What? How? Stunner charges the wall crawler. By murdering my beloved. It happened when you killed Otto Gunther Octavius. Elsewhere, at Potter's Field, a prison graveyard, Carly Cooper pays her final respects to Peter Parker at the grave of Otto Octavius. I am so sorry, she says, gripping on her journal with one hand and setting down a bouquet of flowers with the other. You fought for all of us, and we never knew it. Even worse, the whole time we thought you were a monster, a menace, and you still kept at it, because that's who you are, a hero. Oh God, you tried to tell me, and I didn't believe. I couldn't. You died, and no one mourned you. Till now. Well, that's going to change, because I know, and soon the world will know, and they'll all come here to say. As Carly steps forward to place the flowers near the tombstone, the ground collapses from under her. She screams for a short moment. The surprise, for her, is more alarming than the fall. But then, Carly notices that the hole, and by extension the grave, is empty. Before she can examine anything any further, Carly is attacked. In front of the Daily Bugle, Spider-Man attempts to avoid Stunner and, still, somehow tries to talk her down. Her ferocious fists split the pavement and crush the surrounding cars. My Otto was dead, she screams. Killed by Cain. But I took part in a ritual, sacrificing my own life so he could live again. I remember, Spider-Man says. But it worked. You gave Otto a second chance. And you took it from him in that final battle in Columbus Circle. Oh, right. I did that. Stunner, please, if you let me explain. No! Enough talking! I hate you! You've taken everything from me. Everything but this holographic suit. And my pain. My dear Angelina, I don't wish to hurt you, but I have no time for this, so... Spider-Man tries to trap Stunner in his webs. At first, she scoffs off his attack. Spider-Man's webs have never been able to contain her before. But, thankfully, Otto has a new formula. Stronger, longer lasting. In short, superior. It's more than enough to deal with Stunner's densest hard light form. Otto then orders his spider bot to triangulate where Stunner's holographic transmission signal is coming from, and to shut down Angelina Brancale's virtual reality rig. With that, Spider-Man swings away, telling the nearby police officers that he has better things to deal with. As he leaves, Stunner chuckles. Spider-Man has always been so cocky. He never did give her enough credit. She isn't nearly as dense as he thinks she is. Spider-Man zips back to the university. His entire future as Peter Parker depends on it. He needs to find Lamaze before his trail grows cold. Fortunately, Otto finds Anna Maria has been keeping the professor occupied this whole time.
Dr. Lopez, please. When it comes to Peter, there's something we both know you're overlooking.
And that would be what, Ms. Marconi?
His mind. You've seen him attack calculations at amazing speeds, twist complex thoughts and theories, bending them to his will. Why would a man with an intellect like that need to steal any idea?
Otto tunes in on their conversation with an adjustment to his earpiece and is at a loss of words. Anna understands him like no one else ever has. But then, Spider-Man's spider sense goes mad when a city bus full of pedestrians gets thrown at him from behind. Spider-Man jumps out of the way just in time, and the bus scrapes the top of the building he is perching on instead. The large vehicle tips downward as it clears the building and begins to fall, casting an ominous shadow directly over Anna Maria and Dr. Lopez. Dear Lord, Lopez gasps as he realizes what is happening. Spider-Man urgently leaps down to the ground and casts a web net to catch the bus before it can crush the two scholars. Move, he instructs. His muscles are on fire. I can't hold this. As if things weren't bad enough, Stunner appears. She pushes over a taxicab to give her space and flings a dumpster at Spider-Man's blind spot. We're not done here, Bug. Not till I say so. Not till I watch you die. Spider-Man's extra appendages appear from his back and, at the last second, knocks the dumpster aside. Stunner? He asks, surprised. You mustn't. There are innocent people here. Stunner examines Otto's extra appendages. 4 mechanical arms. No! Otto begs. Stunner curses him as she rips Spider-Man's arms right out of his back. How dare you! Sparks fly, and Spider-Man howls in pain. Seeing that he has little time to escape, Dr. Lopez pushes Anna Maria aside in order to prop himself on his feet. Spider-Man can feel his grip loosening. Anna, please, get up. I can't. Stunner punches him, dedicating Spider-Man's up-and-coming defeat to her love. Otto, wherever you are, beloved, I hope you can see this. This is all for you. Spider-Man continues to beg Stunner to stop, but this just forces her hand even more. She wants Spider-Man to beg. She wants him to ask her for mercy, for forgiveness. She prepares for the final attack. For the beautiful light you extinguish from this world, say it! Say his name! Let the last words from your lips be my dead Otto's name. You don't understand, Otto explains. I am. Suddenly, Stunner begins to pixelate, and then dissolves into thin air. Otto's Spider-Bot successfully located and cut the wires on Angelina's holographic machine. Spider-Man, feeling a sense of relief, drops the bus. Anna Maria, he gasps. Are you? It's okay, Spidey. I crawled free. Those people on the bus. They'll be fine, Miss Marconi.
Anna Maria? Ms. Marconi? You're being very familiar with me, Webhead.
Well, you know, Peter's my friend, and he speaks very fondly of you.
Oh, really? He does that a lot?
Later, Spider-Man makes his way to Stunner's hideout to find Angelina sitting on the ground, unconscious, with her headset still on. She experienced a nasty neural feedback, but her pulse is steady. She'll pull through, but first, Otto is going to make sure to take her little toys. When Angelina wakes up, she immediately notices her VR headset is gone. But she's not alone. It's all for the best, my dear. And besides, you never needed it. You've always been beautiful to me, just the way you are. Otto Octavius, in all his white-suited glory, stands before her. Otto? She says in disbelief. You're alive! But how? My sweet Stunner, you're talking to Otto Octavius, the one and only Dr. Octopus. I am always finding new ways to cheat death. Angelina stands to her feet. It's a miracle! I never should have doubted you. I should have known you'd find a way back to me. Wait, Otto, this means we can be together. We can finally have everything we ever wanted. With a stern face, Otto tells her, No, I'm sorry, but in the time you were away, with this new lease on life, I found another. I'll always care for you, my dear, but today, more than ever, I know where my true heart lies, and what I must do to preserve my future happiness. Of course, this image of the former Otto is just a hard light construct. But while Otto has his old body, he decides to make a stop to see an old friend, Dr. Lamaze. The next morning, before the board, Dr. Lamaze rescinds his previous objections towards Peter Parker. He takes it all back and deeply apologizes for his previous slanderous remarks, as well as humbly beg for Peter's forgiveness. Well, Otto begins, that was quite to the point, Don. On the nose, you might say, and very big of you. On the way out of the room, Dr. Lamaze grabs Otto by the arm. Mr. Parker, a word, please. I had a visitor last night. It was Otto Octavius himself. He's still alive. He confided in me, told me your secret. Is it true? He said you were a child prodigy and his assistant. That it was you who came up with his greatest inventions. Oh, it's true, Otto tells him, but I wouldn't spread it around. You know how Otto can be, with his ego and all. The doctor agrees and waves goodbye to Otto and Anna Maria. Farewell, Mr. Parker. Or should I say, Dr. Parker. Anna chuckles. See, Slick? No piranhas, no kraken, and everything turned out all right. You're a good person, Peter Parker. And in my experience, good things happen to good people. But that isn't always the case. Carly Cooper has been captured by none other than Lily Hollister, the villain known as Menace, and Carly's adopted sister, as well as mother to Harry Osborn's, or potentially Norman Osborn's, baby boy. Menace greets the Goblin King with her prize in hand, telling him that she's brought a present, a very special visitor from up above.
Oh, this ought to be good,
says the king.
All right, Menace, wow me.
Menace tells him,
I believe you know my dear sweet sister, Officer Carly Cooper.
Carly winces.
The police? You brought the police down to our secret lab?
Menace throws the king Carly's journal.
Oh, she's more than that. See, I've been keeping tabs on her. And my little Carly bear's been branching out. She's working on a book, nonfiction.
The king opens the journal and flips through the pages. A sneer creeps on his face.
Oh, this is rich.
Trust me, it's a real page turner.
Shh, stop. Don't tell me another word. After all, you wouldn't want to spoil the ending.
Somewhere within a dark, abandoned slaughterhouse, meat hooks swing in the air. A soft clink every time they hit one another. A businessman sets a briefcase on a counter, opens it up, and gazes at the countless $100 bills. He tells the procurer of the briefcase, "So, you probably know the Kingpin was working with ninjas lately, but he kept some of the guys from the old days around, like me. You can't send freaking ninjas to negotiate with the Chicago outfit. Know what I'm saying? Dark in here. Anyway, a while back, Mr. Fisk got some dirt on Spider-Man. You know, all the tech he uses. Some test tube jockey named Peter Parker makes it all for him. And that's legit. 'Cause when we snatched the kid, Spidey came running. Now, I'm no snitch, okay? I'm only telling you, 'cause since Spider-Man whacked Mr. Fisk, I'm out of a job. And I remember you from the old days. Top notch, Button Man. You did nice work for the hood. So, I know you can use this. And you're good for the dough, which I can most definitely use." Huh? Newspaper? The businessman wonders aloud as he examines the money closer. Under the first layer of $100 bills, there isn't anything more than cut up pieces of newspaper. The man he's speaking to steps out of the shadows. "Regrettably, I find myself unemployed as well. Hard times for us all," he says before baring his fangs and attacking the businessman by biting down on the man's jugular and ripping out pieces of his flesh. "But soon, very soon, the name Blackout will once again be synonymous with murder." Elsewhere, in Central Park West, within the condo of Aunt May and Uncle Jay, Otto scarfs down wheat cake after wheat cake. Aunt May can hardly believe her eyes. "You're not Peter Parker. Who are you, and what have you done with my nephew? I swear, I haven't seen you eat this many wheat cakes since you were 16. Otto tells Aunt May that the cakes are delicious, and he could certainly eat another stack right now. Jay, however, tells Otto to slow down. If he keeps eating like that, he'll wind up an overweight middle-aged man.
Hush up, Jay. My nephew's always been too thin.
Otto gives Aunt May a peck on the cheek. He tells her, "And now that I'm my own boss, I can make time for what's really important. Things I neglected before, like regular exercise and being around the people who mean the most to me." This makes Aunt May blush, and she runs back into the kitchen to whip up another stack of wheat cakes. When Aunt May is out of earshot, Jay confesses to Otto, "I've never seen May so happy. I have to admit, Peter, I used to feel you took her for granted. The way you'd skip appointments or rush off early. But the attention you've given her lately, it's clear to me now how much you really do care." I'm pleased to hear you say that, Jay. It's part of the reason I went into business for myself. Of course, there's the expectation of success and the desire to forge my own path. But it's also true that I took a hard look at my life and realized it was quite the spectacular mess. I can't promise I'll never have to run off again. Owning a startup means you never clock out, and there's still the work I do for Spider-Man. Jay steps forward. "I'm glad you brought up Spider-Man. I know May's asked you to sever ties with him, and I agree with her. The fact that you still work for him worries us. He's become so brutal lately. It's getting harder to tell the difference between him and the criminals he fights." Peter tells Jay, "I know how it looks, but he's been reevaluating things too, realizing it's stupid to let killers and psychopaths literally get away with murder. And to be brutally honest, I'm not in a financial position to pass up the income he pays me." "Does he pay you enough to be a target?" "I haven't told May because it just frightened her, but I heard what happened not long ago. The hobgoblin snatched you right off the street in broad daylight. I realized you escaped with Spider-Man's help, but as long as you work for him, the men like that know it. If anything happened to you, it would just kill May." I understand your concern, but I'm asking you to trust me, Jay, and to believe me when I tell you I will never let anything hurt that woman. You're a good man, Peter Parker. I suppose I owe you the benefit of the doubt. And you're as much of a reason for Aunt May's happiness as I am. I can't thank you enough. Later, as Otto leaves the condo, he reminisces on his past experiences with Aunt May. She is honestly such a dear woman. Jay was right. Peter never truly appreciated her. Of course, when May and Otto first met, he hardly conducted himself any better, exploiting a widow's loneliness because she'd inherited something he wanted. How vividly he can recall his shame when he realized what a good person she was, and that he was behaving like the common criminal that the small-minded always accused Dr. Octopus of being. But that's in the past. Peter Parker's body and life are now his, and with them, the opportunity to correct his mistakes as well as Peter's. Parker certainly made an inordinate amount. Jay has a point. What kind of imbecile creates a masked identity to protect himself from his enemies, only to paint a target on his back by declaring he is Spider-Man's minion? Just another mess Otto will have to clean up. But it can wait. With the Kingpin neutralized, few men possess that knowledge. And Otto pities any fool enough to come after him. Otto boards a subway in order to head home. He detests the subway, but there's no better place to test the strength of the signals coming from his spider eyes. Letting the bots patrol the city for him has freed time he can use for more productive pursuits. But Otto must know they can reach him anywhere, even deep underground. Suddenly, Otto's spider app buzzes. One of his spider bots is sending in an alert now. At first, Otto believes it to be some petty crime that he can simply notify the police of. But when he checks his phone, the feed is coming directly from the spider bot watching over Aunt May and Jay. Immediately, Otto pushes his way through the crowd until he is free to jump on top of the train car. He rips off his shirt and demands his suit to equip itself before bursting a hole in a nearby sewer grate and crawling his way to the surface. Back at the condo, Blackout kicks down the door. Aunt May screams at the bleach-white creature with claws and hides behind Jay. Jay, on the other hand, picks up a metal poker from the fireplace and holds it up to the intruder. Thick clouds of black fog begin to seep from Blackout's skin. Heh. He chuckles as he steps closer to the two. You have courage, old man. I'll give you that. But I'm afraid for you. It's lights out. Soon, the whole room is filled with the fog and painted so dark that May and Jay cannot see even an inch in front of them. May shrieks as Blackout snatches her in his grasp. May! Jay calls out. May, where are... Oh! He falls over in the darkness. He holds his weapon up to protect himself. But Blackout grabs the poker and bends the metal with his bare hand until it breaks. Spider-Man desperately swings as fast as he can from the other side of town. His spider bot is failing him. He orders the bot to go infrared, ultraviolet, the entire spectrum. He needs to see something other than darkness. He then gets an incoming call from Jay, telling him to get back to the condo at once. When Otto arrives, he sees that the door is off the hinges and runs into the room. Jay, are you? I'm fine, Peter. But May... Jay sobs with his face buried in shame. He's taken May. And you let him, Otto thinks. You? No, he's an old man. There's nothing he could have done. Get a hold of yourself, Otto. He places his hand on Jay's shoulder. Get a hold of yourself, Jay. Tell me what happened. Jay looks up slowly. He called himself Blackout. His face, he was hideous, Peter. He's after you. He said if I call the police, my son, anyone, he'll know, and he'll kill her. Jay hands Otto a cell phone Blackout left for him. It's cheap, disposable, untraceable. His instructions for Jay were to call Peter and tell him that he, too, should follow the instructions to the letter if they ever wanted to see May alive again. But this is surprisingly good news, Otto concludes. This means Blackout wants something from him. That means he won't hurt May until he gets it. Jay protests. But then what? How do we stop him if we can't find him? You didn't see him. He's insane. Every time she screamed, he laughed. Otto tells Jay, if you've never believed anything I've told you, believe this. I am going to get your wife back to you, safe and sound, by any means necessary. Otto goes back to his lab on Spider Island and awaits Blackout's call. It doesn't take long. The burner phone buzzes, and Otto answers the call. This is Parker. I want proof of life or our conversation is over. A grainy voice echoes through the lab. Of course. Just a moment. The sound of Aunt May weeping grows louder from the background. Peter? Don't risk yourself. Call the police. Aunt May, Otto mutters. Then, Blackout's voice returns. Don't listen to her, boy. I gave you proof of life. Should you cross me, I can just as easily provide proof of death. What do you want? Sabotage, Blackout says coolly. I want you to compromise Spider-Man's equipment. Web fluid that clogs, goggles that go dark, those ubiquitous robots that catch a virus. I believe I could kill him regardless, but an unexpected system failure should give me all the advantage I need. Peter responds, I have no way of knowing when I'll see him next. For your aunt's sake, I hope it's soon. I do get bored easily. I'll check in daily from a new disposable phone each time. If you fail to answer, you won't like what's left on your voicemail. Oh, and if you have any quaint notions of tracing this, we'll be long gone. A cell phone in the trash is all you will find. A few final words. If I see a single spider bot, she dies. If I see Thor fly overhead, she dies. If I wake up in a bad mood, she dies. Do not test me, boy. I'm a reasonable man, but I am also an accomplished, imaginative, unrepentant killer. Never forget that. You're a fool! Otto spits as he slams down his fist and shatters the cell phone. You're not dealing with Parker or Spider-Man. You've made an enemy of the Superior Spider-Man, and you have no idea what I am capable of. I am not the police or some inept telecommunications company. My spider eyes blanket the entire city. They triangulated your position the moment you called. They can watch you from a distance without you ever realizing it. Of course, as long as you have May, I can afford no mistakes. A circumstance that would indeed give you the advantage if you faced an opponent who made mistakes. You think you know some things about me. It's time I learned more about you. Spider-Man makes a call to Danny Ketch, the former Ghost Rider. Blackout? Danny asks, surprised. Yeah, I know him. He killed my sister. I fought my share of psychos as Ghost Rider, but he was one of the worst. He'll find out what you care about most and take it from you. No one's off limits. Women, kids, and he'll commit murder with less thought than you and I give to what size coffee we want. I thought he was dead, but I guess that only means so much when a guy's half demon. Not sure how much help I am without powers, but if you want a hand. Spider-Man interrupts. No need, Ketch. I'm not certain it's him just yet. Following a tip, it could be the other Blackout, with the Masters of Evil, the one with the ridiculous lightning bolt on his head. But, as a precaution, I'm gathering information on your old enemy. Strengths, weaknesses, that sort of thing. Danny looks sternly into the camera. Well, he's strong, fast, durable. Razor-sharp claws and teeth. Likes to rip out throats. And he can utterly suck the light out of a room. He's sensitive to sunlight. Not burning into flames sensitive, but it hurts. My advice? I know this isn't your style, but if you have to fight him, kill him. Or you're putting a noose around the neck of everyone you love. Otto despises the supernatural, but the Ketch boy raised a point he cannot ignore. Simply killing this miscreant may not end his threat. A truly intelligent man knows when he is outside his field of expertise. Otto wonders, should he contact one of Parker's allies who specializes in the field? A man like Dr. Strange may provide answers, but he dwells in the world of aura, clairvoyance. He might well discern the truth about Otto. Is Otto being selfish to not want to enlist his aid? Placing his own self-preservation above May's life? What kind of man? No, better to ask, what kind of man places those he claims to love in danger with carelessness? Answer, a man like Peter Parker. Otto has taken on the Herculean task of correcting Peter's mistakes, cleaning up his messes. Otto is the superior in every way, and he shall prove it. Later, in the dead of night, Otto arrives just outside a large and apparently abandoned building. The sign on top reads Abattoir. It's a disguised slaughterhouse. How imaginative. But the building is windowless. Otto can't risk May's safety by straying too close without knowing Blackout's position. With May's leg injury, another result of Parker's incompetence. Her ability to escape Blackout's grasp is severely limited. Otto must wait for Blackout to emerge. And from what he said during their short conversation, Otto knows, eventually, he will. Inside the slaughterhouse, Blackout drags May by the arm. Up, old woman. We're going to call your nephew. Maybe we'll drive to Long Island this time. Maybe I'll make you scream this time. Blackout rolls open the gate and discovers a fleet of spider bots awaiting him. Suddenly, Spider-Man appears, swinging in and kicks Blackout away from May. Blackout crashes into his van parked behind him. the back of his head shatters the windshield. Spider-Man follows up with a flurry of punches, denting the hood of the vehicle under their weight. "It's all right, Mrs. Jameson," he tells May. "Don't panic. You're safe now." With each punch, more and more blood flies into the air. May shudders at the sight. She slides across the room and places her back against a nearby wall. Blackout lifts up a hand and catches one of Spider-Man's punches. "She's scared," he says, speaking of May. "Of you, as much as me. She should be." Blackout gets the upper hand and slams Spider-Man down onto the van. Pieces of the engine break apart and shoot out from under the already cracked metal. "I warned you!" Blackout roars, now leaping for the helpless Aunt May. "Tell Parker you killed her!" "What?" As Blackout prepares to slash at May, Spider-Man's Spider-Bots each form around her and produce an orange barrier that protects her from the attack. "Robots?" Blackout shouts angrily. "Yes," Spider-Man answers, springing up and hitting Blackout across the face with a powerful strike. "They can generate a force field. No more sabotages, scum. Nothing can save you now." Blackout turns around and chokes Spider-Man. He uses his weight to throw the hero on the ground. "Save me?" he asks, amused at the very notion. "You're the one who dies today!" The villain slashes down. Spider-Man jumps to avoid the attack, but is too slow to completely dodge it, and is cut on the side. With his other hand, Blackout grabs onto a nearby meat hook and hits Spider-Man in the face, shattering his optic lenses. "There!" Blackout sneers. Blood drips from his mouth. "I'm not sure the tech you've got in those eyepieces would have helped you anyway." He throws his hands up, and a thick black fog begins to cover the room. "But now, they're clearly useless. As are you." Once the whole room is shrouded in darkness, Blackout makes his move. Spider-Man is able to sense the first attack coming and throws a jab to counter. To admit, Blackout is pretty impressed. "Ah yes, your danger sense. Not bad. But there's a difference between knowing a threat is coming and knowing where it's coming from." He knees Spider-Man in the stomach, grabs Spider-Man from behind, and claws him in the back. Blackout then chokes Spider-Man until the hero helplessly falls to his knees. "Ha!" he laughs. "I don't need Parker at all." He turns to a few of the Spider-Bots scattered across the area. "Is he watching through your robots?" he asks Spider-Man. "I hope so. I want him to see you die. And I want him to see what I do to his aunt after I've crushed the robots protecting her." Blackout drags Spider-Man into the center of the room, in clear view of both Aunt May and all the Spider-Bots. "Take a good look, Peter. This is what trying to be smart gets you." Blackout bares his fangs and then sinks them down into the side of Spider-Man's neck. His victory is cut short by an electric feedback that is enough to overpower even him. Blackout flies backwards and writhes in pain on his back. "Idiot," Spider-Man tells him, pushing himself to his feet. "I was aware of your penchant for tearing out throats. It was child's play to reinforce my neck and booby-trap it." Spider-Man pulls off part of a handrail to a nearby staircase and fashions it into a cane for May. Not to worry, madam. He's too stunned to threaten you further. Here, use this as a cane. Get to safety. There are police officers in a diner 1 block north and 2 blocks east. They'll see you receive medical attention. I'm sure all this has been a shock, he tells her as he walks her out of the building. I'll finish up here. Once Spider-Man sees that May is safely on her way, he turns back and approaches Blackout. So, you thought to restore what I'll laughingly call your reputation? Spider-Man stomps on Blackout's right elbow, shattering the bone with a crunch. He then stomps on Blackout's left kneecap. At my expense! The villain wails in pain. Spider-Man jabs the half-demon in the face, breaking his nose to pieces. By making an example out of me! Spider-Man then lifts the villain over his head and walks him over to the meat hooks dangling from the ceiling. Not a bad idea, actually. You were just wrong about which one of us will make the example and who will be the example. Spider-Man tosses Blackout into the sea of hooks, and enough of them puncture his clothes and skin in order for him to stay suspended in midair. Time passes. All Spider-Man can hear is the sound of blood dripping to the floor at his feet. Nothing to say? He asks. Blackout spits in his face. What are you gonna do to me? Beat me? Break my bones? I'm not a normal human. I'll heal. Good as new. Kill me? I don't think so. I'm no threat to anyone at the moment. You'd only find yourself a target of the police and your fellow Avengers. Lock me up, I'll get out, and then I'll find you. But not until after I found Parker, his aunt, and everyone else you've ever exchanged a kind word with. I'm a half-demon, you idiot, he hisses. You have no idea who you're dealing with. A spider bot crawls on Spider-Man's shoulder. Within its claw, a pair of pliers. Nor do you, Spider-Man responds. But you're about to learn. Spider-Man grabs the pliers and pulls down on Blackout's lower lip, revealing his fangs. I've never had the opportunity to examine a half-demon. Will your teeth grow back? What are you? Never mind. I'm a man of science. I prefer to learn by doing. Spider-Man begins pulling each and every fang out of Blackout's mouth, one by one. Then, he moves on to the claws. The half-demons howls in agony even catch up to Aunt May. They send a shiver down her spine. Fascinating, Spider-Man says, holding up one of the fangs with the pliers. Your claws seem to be made of keratin, like normal fingernails, but they're much stronger. I'll have to study them further. But back to the task at hand. I'm told you're vulnerable to sunlight, yes? I can't wait around till dawn, but I did bring a solar simulator. One of the spider bots produces a miniature light. Blackout begs Spider-Man to stop. A pool of blood is produced underneath him from the constant outpour from his gums and fingertips. Please, you win! I'm sorry. I swear I'll never cross you again. I'll I'll leave the country. I'll do whatever you want. Please. Spider-Man picks up the light and holds it up to Blackout. Yes, you will do what I want. And what I want is this. Tell all your misbegotten ilk, tell anyone who will listen, that Peter Parker is off limits. If he, his aunt, anyone else associated with him or associated with me is harmed, harassed, or inconvenienced in any way, if they are killed in a mugging or a car accident, if they die from what seems to be a natural heart attack, if they so much as get jostled on the subway, I will find out who is responsible, and what I do to them will make what I've done to you seem like the most tender of mercies. Yes, Blackout tells him. Yes, I'll deliver the message. I'll make sure everyone understands. Spider-Man turns on the machine, and the modified beam of light burns Blackout's skin to the point that it starts to bubble. You will, indeed. The next day, Otto is leaving a flower shop before heading to the hospital to check on May's condition. He bumps into a man in a sweatsuit on the way out of the shop. Watch yourself, idiot! Sorry, the man says as he steals Otto's wallet. My bad. The man in the sweatsuit walks away and examines its contents. It's not long until he reads the name on the photo ID. Dude! He screams, sprinting back to Otto. He hands Otto back his wallet, saying, I didn't know you were Peter Parker, I swear! I would have never. I'm sorry, don't tell Spider-Man, okay? Please, I've got kids. For the love of God, I've got kids! Otto watches the man run down the sidewalk and sneers. Yes, I think this will do. Below Manhattan, the Goblin Knight and the Goblin King share a brief discourse. The Goblin Knight kneels down and advises, You should see this Blackout guy. I mean, I swear, one look and I lost my lunch. Words out, the spider's not playing.
Interesting,
the king responds.
A reaction like this. He's shown his belly.
Boss, with all due respect, this ain't the guy you remember. He's changed. Some people even think he's losing it. He's got everyone scared to cross him. The wise guys, the cartels, the masks. He's not playing by the same rules. Total wild card. No one knows what he's gonna do. I mean, yeah, he showed he gets mad when you mess with people close to him. But if he's gonna be this hardcore about it, why take the chance? The Goblin King looks down at his knight and chuckles.
Why?
He asks.
I should think that's obvious. It's a tradition!